Most celebrated, flashy, and timeless. James Stewart, or simply Jimmy, owned the spotlight for decades, from being America's ultimate heartthrob to finally trading in the bachelor life for a cozy, loving home with his wife, Gloria Haytrick Stewart. Jimmy's story had it all, but the magic didn't stop with him. His kids stepped up and kept the legacy alive in their own way. So how did they do it? Let's jump right in and find out in this video. James Stewart, better known to the world as Jimmy, wasn't just a Hollywood legend. He was one of the most beloved actors of all time. From unforgettable roles in It's a Wonderful Life, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and Rear Window, Jimmy had a rare gift for bringing sincerity and heart to every character he played. But behind all the fame and camera flashes, he lived a life filled with simplicity, warmth, and strong family values. Despite being a massive star, Jimmy didn't live like one. After marrying Gloria Haytrick McLean in 1949, he jumped right into the role of a dedicated family man. He adopted Gloria's two sons, Ronald and Michael McLean, and a couple of years later the couple welcomed twin daughters, Judy and Kelly, in 1951. The Stewarts made their home on Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills, an elegant but modest house right across the street from icons like Lucille Ball and Jack Benny. Jimmy was the kind of dad who didn't need the spotlight to shine. He once dressed up as Santa Claus just to make Christmas magical for the kids. On regular days, he'd help with homework, wrestle with the kids in the yard, or go hiking with the boys. His wife Gloria once said, "He wrestles with them, plays ball, and hikes. They just love it." Instead of spoiling them with luxury, Jimmy gave them structure, time, and genuine love. As a decorated World War II pilot, Jimmy brought a bit of military discipline into his home, especially with his stepsons, who attended military school. But he wasn't overly strict. He was calm, steady, and reliable, the kind of father who led by example, not by fear. What made Jimmy truly special was how he kept his Hollywood life separate from his personal one. He didn't throw glamorous parties or chase the limelight. At home, he valued routine, loyalty, and keeping things simple. His daughters often said that life with him felt surprisingly normal, even though their dad was a movie star. With such a grounded and loving father, it's only natural to wonder how his children turned out and what they're doing now. So let's take a closer look at the next chapter in the Stewart family story, but before we get into it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more timeless stories like this. Let's jump in. Ronald Walsh McLean. Ronald Walsh McLean was born on June 19, 1944 in Aspen, Colorado. He was the older son of Gloria Haytrick and her first husband, Edward Beale, Ned McLean Jr., who came from a wealthy East Coast family tied to the Washington Post fortune. Ronald's early years were spent in that world of privilege and high society. But everything changed when his mother married actor James Stewart on August 9, 1949. Jimmy adopted Ronald and his younger brother Michael, and from that point on, Ronald became part of the Stewart family. He grew up in Beverly Hills, in a home where the glitz of Hollywood was kept outside the front door. The kids were raised with structure and discipline. The twins, Judy and Kelly, had a French governess, and the boys were sent to military school, something that reflected Jimmy's own background as a World War II pilot. Still, life at home wasn't strict in a cold way. Gloria often said Jimmy was a playful, hands-on dad. He'd wrestle with the kids, play ball, and take them on hikes. The bond he shared with Ronald and Michael was real and full of affection. Following in his stepfather's patriotic footsteps, Ronald chose to serve his country and joined the Marine Corps. In October 1967, he officially became a first lieutenant, with Jimmy proudly pinning the insignia on his uniform. Soon after, Ronald was deployed to Vietnam and assigned to Company A, 3rd Reconnaissance Battalion, 3rd Marine Division. Tragically, Ronald's story ended far too soon. On June 8, 1969, during a mission called American Beauty in the demilitarized zone near Quang Tri Province, his 6-man team was ambushed. In the middle of heavy enemy fire, Ronald manned a grenade launcher and managed to take down several enemy soldiers, helping his team find cover. When one of his teammates was hit, Ronald didn't hesitate to stop and give first aid, risking his own life. He was fatally shot while trying to protect the others. For his bravery, Ronald was posthumously awarded the Silver Star, one of the highest military honors in the U.S. He was just 24 years old. Jimmy Stewart, who knew firsthand the cost of war, was heartbroken but deeply proud of his son's courage and sacrifice. He didn't talk much about his grief, but those close to him knew just how deeply it affected him. He quietly admitted that there's not a single day that goes by that he doesn't think of Ron. That loss stayed with him for the rest of his life. Michael McLean. Mike McLean was born in 1946 to Gloria Haytrick and her first husband, Edward Beale. Ned McLean Jr. Like his older brother Ronald, he was also adopted by Jimmy. From then on, they became one big blended family living in Beverly Hills. Like his brother, Michael was sent to military school, something that reflected Jimmy's own values around discipline and structure. But Michael didn't follow a military path. Michael lived a pretty quiet and private life. He focused on his studies and seemed to go for a more traditional career. There's a sweet family photo from 1973 taken in Oxford, England, where Jimmy and Gloria are happily holding Michael's newborn son, Benjamin. It's believed that Michael was studying law at Oxford around that time, showing he was focused on building a future outside of fame. In the early 1970s, Michael started a family of his own. He married Barbara and they had a son named Benjamin. While Ronald served in the Marines and the twin sisters had more public lives, Michael stayed out of the spotlight. He clearly preferred to live a simple and private life. Michael passed away in 2022 after a battle with cancer. His passing was quietly shared by the family, just like the way he lived. Judy Stewart-Merrill. Born on May 7, 1951 in Beverly Hills, Judy Stewart-Merrill was the older of the twin daughters of James Stewart and Gloria Haytrick McLean. Her birth was a bit scary, as it happened through an emergency C-section that nearly put her mom's life at risk. Judy grew up with her sister Kelly and older stepbrothers, Ronald and Michael. Even though her dad, Jimmy Stewart, was one of the biggest movie stars of his time, at home he was just Dad. He was loving, playful, and always there for his kids. Judy later studied arts and cultural affairs at Stanford University. She wanted to make her own way in the world, outside of her dad's fame. For a short time in the early 1970s, she tried working in TV and even appeared on shows like Password and The Mike Douglas Show. But she didn't enjoy the spotlight and decided to step away from it. In 1977, she married Stephen Merrill, a politician from New Hampshire who later became the state's governor in the 1990s. They had two sons together, David and John, and built a calm, family-focused life. As First Lady of New Hampshire, Judy supported her husband quietly and with grace, always keeping things low-key. Over the years, Judy stayed involved in helping others through charity work and supporting the arts, always behind the scenes. She didn't seek fame and instead focused on living a kind, honest life. Just like her parents taught her, Judy was very close to her dad. She often said that his values, things like honesty, service, and being creative, helped shape who she is. After her mom passed away in 1994, Jimmy leaned on Judy and Kelly for comfort, especially as his health started to decline. Now in her 70s, Judy lives a quiet and meaningful life. She enjoys spending time with family, helping her community, and carrying on the values and legacy of her father in her own gentle, thoughtful way. Kelly Stewart-Harcourt. Stewart was born on May 7, 1951, as the younger of the Stewart twins. From early on, Kelly had a big curiosity about nature. After finishing high school, she studied anthropology at Stanford University and graduated in 1973. That same year, a trip to Africa changed her life. While visiting gorillas in Zaire, she felt a deep connection and knew she wanted to work with them. Right after graduating, Kelly wrote to famous gorilla expert Diane Fossey and was invited to join her team in Rwanda. Kelly spent the next several years doing fieldwork at the Karisoki Research Center, often working alongside her future husband, Dr. Alexander Sandy Harcourt. Even when a fire destroyed nearly 2 years of her notes, Kelly didn't give up. She was more determined than ever. She later earned her PhD in zoology from Cambridge University and co-wrote Gorilla Society with Sandy, a key book on how gorillas live and interact. Together, they built a life focused on teaching and conservation, splitting their time between Rwanda, the UK, and California. Since 1989, Kelly has worked at UC Davis as a research associate, while also supporting wildlife groups and writing about science. Though she didn't follow her father into acting, Kelly proudly carried on his values. She even co-produced a documentary about his life and once defended "It's a Wonderful Life" in a New York Times letter. Her dad fondly called her his mountain gorilla girl, proud of the unique path she chose. Today, Kelly lives a quiet, meaningful life, staying true to her passions and the Stewart family's legacy of kindness, curiosity, and service. So, while Jimmy Stewart had an incredible career in Hollywood, would, it was his family that truly made his life feel full. His 4 children grew up with pride, love, and a strong sense of legacy, each in their own way helping carry forward their father's name. And maybe that's what a true family man like Jimmy wanted most in the end. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming vintage stories. Thanks for watching.